I think that some people have a very hard time dealing with anything that actually touches them emotionally. There's that whole defense mechanism that's built on not being touched emotionally at all. Pain is part of life, And I think that when your heart is very tender, every moment has a kind of existential sadness to it. I mean, in a sense, that's the beauty of living. It's not sadness like having to cry all the time, but it's really the sadness of existence. It's like seeing everything with that tenderness has like a kind of a sadness to it, but that's also has the joy in it as well. And so in a sense, I think that this pain is kind of primal, you could say like the primal kind of spectrum of emotion. It's the kind of emotions that we don't have words for, which also includes laughter. I mean, laughter is such a wonderful, wonderful, it's such an absolute unifier of human beings. That spectrum, which comes down from here, really it's like belly, kind of a visceral level of life. The vocal tradition is very strong in my family. In that way, my very early language was the language of singing, and I did a lot of singing as a child. Also because I have an eye problem, an eye situation where I can't see out of two eyes at the same time, I was not physically very well coordinated, and so my mother sent me to a study called Dalcroze Eurythmics, which is a system of learning music through movement and rhythms. And because of that very early training at the age of 3, and I think that for me, movement and music and singing have been very unified. I've never thought of them as two separate things.
Skiak, 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 skiak. Skiki, 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 skiak, 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 skia, 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 skiak, 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 skiki, 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 squasati, skiki, 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 squasati, walaisi, 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 skiki, 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 squasati, walaisi, 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 walaisi. What's in an latte? What's in an latte? What's in an latte? What's in an latte? What's in an latte?
I started vocalizing every day, sitting at the piano and vocalizing, and it was one of those days that I had a kind of revelation about the voice. I realized that I had been working very hard with my sense of dancing about making a vocabulary for my own body. And dancing was something that didn't come so easy to me. I had to really work hard at it physically. I wasn't a naturally built well to dance. It just was something that I wanted to do very much. And I made a very personal vocabulary of movement. And what I discovered the day that I was sitting at the piano was the fact that I could do the same thing with my voice. And that day, having that idea that the voice could be, that you could have characters within your own voice, that you could have a landscape within your own voice, or landscapes, that you could stretch your range, that the voice could be like a hand moving, that it could be like a spine. That day was, in a sense, coming home to my blood and coming home to something that was very deep in my background and deep in my soul and my being.
Dobry wieczór Państwu. Dziękuję. Po pierwsze, chciałbym powiedzieć, że bardzo cieszymy się, że jesteśmy w Polsce i gramy dla Państwa muzykę Meredith Monk. Zagram najpierw utwór na fortepian solo, że nazywa po angielsku step music, po polsku to jest muzyka stepowa. Potem Meredith i Katie zaśpiewała Volcano Songs, czyli pieśni wulkanu, a potem wykonamy St. Petersburg Waltz, czyli walc petersburski. Dziękuję bardzo.
Part of the reason that I feel such a good feeling about her is that without teaching directly, she still is like a source of teaching and of surprising, you learn things from Meredith that you ought to learn in other places, but they don't teach you there. And so as a musician, there are certain things that she has said to me while we were rehearsing or while I was recording for her, that short, little, simple ideas that became basis for big improvements and changes in my attitude or in my playing or in my understanding of many things. So I really admire and love her very, very much because she is a source of light and heat and helps us become our own sources. This is very important that I should add that, because sometimes when people who are very charismatic and powerful and talented take, right? They take and they use people, but they don't really give out. And they don't want other people around them to become themselves powerful or successful. But Meredith has this, just naturally for her, she really does want the people around her also to have their own, stand on their own 2 feet and live well.
I didn't have an easy childhood. I actually had quite a difficult childhood because both of my parents were not home very often. Both my father was working and my mother was also working as a singer. And I don't think it's that easy to be the child of a performer. I don't have children myself, and there was a certain decision that came along about that at a certain point where I realized that my life was so traveling all the time and, and doing this work and very dedicated to this work that I also would not be able to give a child the kind of love and attention that they needed. And that came very much from having been the child of a performer, and particularly a performer. My mother was not a composer. She did not write her own music. She was a singer in the commercial world, which is it's a difficult world, very harsh, and it's a kind of world that, you get jobs and oh, you're this wonderful singer and you're the wonderful voice of the commercials, like for that year, and then the next year, goodbye, let's get the new person. It's got that it's not, I think it's very difficult to grow and to have your own identity when you're placed in that position. So as a young person, I think, and instinctively, I think that I made a decision that I wanted to have, that my work would be my own work, and that in a way I would be in control of my life. Not to say that anyone is really in control of their life, but that at least my work would come from, I would not have to depend on other people for me to do my work.
That was one of our better ones.
Here's some water. It's really dry in here. It's very strange to sing this with a cold. I'm working on another song. Until I was 6, I was alone. I had a lot of time alone as a child. My sister is 6 years younger. Spending the time alone, I think, also was very much a part of who I am now and my working and everything too, because I was a very creative child. I made up things, and you know, I made up little plays and little songs and everything. I mean, that was always part of my, you know, part of what kept me going. And I had a lot of energy as a kid. I was like a really little kid, and I had a lot of energy. I was, you know, like very high energy kind of child. I have a lot of doubts of myself. It's you know, but this is the process that I'm working on, you know, and it's, sometimes there are, you know, times where I have a lot of doubt for many months, and it's very, very painful. I'm still not immune to having hurt. You know, I'm not strong enough to not be hurt. It's very much sometimes like being blind, like when I was working on Volcano Songs 2 years ago. I had a period of being very depressed, like, will I ever have another idea that I haven't done already? I feel like I've explored everything that I can. Maybe there's no reason for me to go on. Maybe I should just be a gardener, you know, or I should work in a hospital or something like that. Maybe it's not useful. You know, what is this stupid art anyway? You know? You must follow what you believe in, because otherwise nothing is worthwhile. It's really not worth it otherwise. It's not satisfying at all, ultimately. So somewhere in you will know that. And I think that the way of staying youthful and knowing that life is going to continue is to only try to follow your dream.
Hedelindo, 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 dindo, dindo, hedelin, 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 hedelindo, 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 dindo, dindo, hedelindo, dindo, dindo, hedelin, hedelin, hedelindo, hedelindo, dindo, 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 hedelindo, dindo, dindo, hedelindo,
My background is that on my father's side of the family, my grandfather lived in Łomża, my grandmother lived in Stawiski. When my grandparents came to America, it was a big wave of immigrants. And when my parents' generation were born, they were first of all quite ashamed they were ashamed that they came from immigrant families, and the parents, the immigrants, wanted their children to really be Americans. So there was a real sense of not asking a lot of questions and not really knowing so much about what went on in the old country. Being here means very much to me. I didn't have a particular expectation, but I think that every expectation that I could possibly have has been fulfilled, because I've just been here, sometimes just getting kind of teary walking around the streets. And, you know, it's a very emotional thing for me to be here, and it was a very, very emotional thing for me to do the concerts here and to be able to share with an audience that had such an open-heartedness. Should I kiss the ground? Would you do another one, Monica? Thank you. Look at this butterfly. Look at this butterfly, Mickey. Mickey, look at this butterfly.
Yes. So
my grandmother was a horse. She had a wagon and she had horses.
Jej babcia była woźnicą, miała
she got Jews, helped Jews
I
over the border.
pomagała Żydom uciekać przez granicę.
She was Jewish too.
Ona też była Żydówką.
But she got other Jews over the border.
Pomagała innym Żydom, przewoziła
like in the wagon and under the hay.
Pod sianem na wozie.
And would you say to my father that he knew the Stawiski family?
Yes, he remembers one man whose name was Stawiski, and he was a sort of mechanic. He had a lot of bicycles and a sort of bicycle store, tools, mechanics.
Wszystko wojna zrobiła.
Everything bicycles manufactured.
Tak, wszystko. A na drugiej stronie była duża woźnica dla ludzi starszych.
A ten drewniany dom, który tam
A ten drewniany też żydowski.
Aha.
Drewniane domy, gdzie stoją, to zobaczycie, że ten na drzwiach to jest, co całowali.
Aha.
Ślady po Mezusa.
Te miejsca cała, to jest 10 Bożego Przykazania. Klejone na drzwiach u każdego Żydka.
Jaki?
Zdrojewski.
Zdrojewski.
A ślusarz był podobno. Sklep z rowerami. Gdzieś po drugiej stronie rynku.
No to możliwe. No ja tego, wie pani, nie pamiętam, ale nie wiem, czy moja bratowa, no bo ona to właśnie starsza i tego,
tak?
To ona wszystko tak pamięta.
Pamięć, I heard that word, pamięć, memory. I know one word because of singing. I still have my memory, pamięć.
A jak się nazywali? Kochany, żeby był mój mąż, to on tam na dole mieszkali gdzieś Zdrojewscy, nie?
Ja nie wiem, że sklep mieli z rowerami, to ty mówię, może pamiętasz.
O Boże, ja to mój mąż, żeby był nie na działce, to by tak co nieco powiedział właśnie.
Her husband would remember for sure, but unfortunately he is not at home at the moment.
Ale tak ktoś taki, a może ta pani Ryczanowska?
Ryczanowski w ogóle był.
A nie ma jego?
Ja nie wiem. Pani Ryczanowska, mąż to jest pani?
A gdzie mieszkali dokładnie?
Mieszkali po tamtej stronie.
They lived on the opposite
Tam za tym rynkiem, za parkiem tam mieszkali.
I w którym tym domu? Tym, co mnie Duszewski kupił, czy u Hojnowska?
Nie słyszę ja.
W którym domu?
Tym domu, co mnie Duszewski?
Nie Duszewski tam, to jest teraz po Belonie tam.
Ale czy pan pamięta, bo pani Zdrojewska jeździła wozem. Może pan ją pamięta?
No.
Ona miała furmankę i jeździła furmanką. Pamięta pan kobietę, która była
Tego
woźnicą?
ojca pamiętam, bo ja to jeździła, ja wiem, ko tego ojca.
Yes, I remember her riding the wagon.
I dwóch braci było,
I
to
remember her, but
rowery.
better, I do remember the father of her. There were two brothers
To tam mieszkali po tamtej stronie za parkiem.
Unfortunately, this house doesn't exist any longer, but we can find the exact place where it was.
Ja już mam 95 lat.
I'm already 95, but I remember them very well.
Tak.
Let's see them closer.
Yeah, I want to maybe,
Yes,
I want to
Monica is
take a picture
ready.
of this whole.
Dziękujemy.
Tumbala, tumbala, tumbala like, tumbala, tumbala, tumbala like, tumbala like, spielbala like, stehbala like, fröhlich so sein. Miam, 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 mama, mama, mama. Meow, 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 meow. Mama, 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 mama. Meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow.